Let's look at the process of stakeholder mapping. I'm going to describe here this process, but at the end of the course and as a part of this, you can also download some templates which will help you through it. Effectively, there are two components to this. There's the grid that shows the map, and then there's the people that you want to place on a map. The map itself is like a series of concentric circles. So think of an outer circle, and then inside is a smaller circle, and then inside that is a much smaller circle. So it's like a dartboard almost, or a bullseye approach. The middle bit is where we're going to put the stakeholders of the highest importance. The middle circle is where the stakeholders of medium importance go, and then the outer circle is where the stakeholders of lower importance go. Now, if you do this on a piece of paper or a flip chart, if there's many of you, you've also got the bit outside of the big circle. And that can be where you put stakeholders that you decide aren't really that important at all. So that's the, shall we say, that's the map, that's the background part of the stakeholder mapping. Then you've got the people part of the stakeholder mapping. So this exercise can be done individually. So you can just do it by taking a piece of paper, taking the 7 categories. Again, there's a template for this at the end of the course, but taking the 7 categories of stakeholders, and then on a column next to those, writing down the names of people in your organization that are in each of those 7 categories that are important to the work that People Analytics does. So think of it. You've got a piece of paper, on one side are 7 categories in a column, and on the second side, then you're writing down the names. If you do this in a group of people, you could do this using Post-it notes. So everyone writes down the names of people in each of those 7 categories. There are many different ways to do this. You could do it by color. Each of the 7 categories has a different color of Post-it note. And so you can immediately, when you map them, say on a flip chart, you can easily see which type of stakeholder they are as well. But that's getting into the detail. The important thing is to list people. And when we talk about people, I mean list actual names of people. So if you're talking about the head of learning and development, write the name of that person. If you're talking about the head of compliance in the organization overall, or a manager in a country, the head of your consumer business in China, write the name of that person down as a stakeholder. It may be you don't know some of these people. And in that situation, write the job title down. So what you should end up with is a list of people on a piece of paper in 7 categories, or a series of Post-it notes, and you've written one name or one job role on each Post-it note. But what you should end up with is a list of people who you consider to be stakeholders that are important to People Analytics. Then we come to the third part of the exercise. So now you've got a piece of paper with 3 concentric circles on, and you've got a list of people or a list of roles. And now it's a question of asking yourself the simple question: does this person or this person in this role have an important impact on the work of People Analytics? And you take each name on the list and write it in the small circle, the medium circle, or the big circle, or if you decide that they're not that important, you can do it outside. And the important thing is to get every name or every job role on your concentric circles. Now, if you're doing this as a group, and there's several of you looking at each other's output, a couple of tips. Firstly, if you say the head of HR, and all 3 or 4 or 5 of you in a group say the head of HR, let's not have 5 Post-it notes, you just need 1. The second is that you can test each other and challenge each other and say, why have you put that person in the middle or the outside? Are they higher importance, lower importance? And you can move Post-it notes around. With yourself, you can list the people down, you can put them in your concentric circles, and then you can challenge yourself. You can come back maybe 2 hours later, a day later, a week later, and relook at your stakeholder map and say, did I quite get it right? Was I influenced because something happened? I got an email and I thought that that person was really important or not important. The important thing is to really test yourself and really challenge yourself as to really how many people are in each category. As a rule of thumb, you should have a very small number of people in the very center of your stakeholder map. Across a big organization, for people analytics overall, there's maybe only going to be maybe 5 or 10 or 12 people in that middle category. Then test yourself and say, are they all from one of these 7 criteria, 7 categories? You don't want all functional stakeholders in the middle and no business leaders, and all the HR leaders are in the outer circle. There should be a balance across the 7 categories. And then with 2 of the categories that we talked about, managers and employees, it's important to maybe think about very specific people. You could just put a manager in Germany because that's a key country, and you want to go and make sure that you talk to a manager in Germany. You might not know the right person. You may have to go and find that, but at least you're categorizing and making sure you capture that role or that person or that type of person. At the end of it, you'll get a stakeholder map with a lot of names on it, but what it will be is categorized in a way of importance, with the small number of people in the middle and then more and more people as you get to the outside of your circles, just like the one shown here. And that's mapping stakeholders.